I was about 11 or 12 years old at the time. I woke up that morning around 5:30 in the morning. In Chaparral, New Mexico, the temperatures rise as high as 110 degrees in the morning. So it was important for us to start the day early. Around 8:30 that morning, I heard my dad yell down from the way, "Hey, Mike, come here. I need your help." In his deep voice that occupied the entire farm at times. From his tone, I knew it was serious. Sensing the urgency, I sprinted down to where he was. On a farm, there are certain medical procedures that happen on a regular basis. Vaccinations, castrations, and occasionally we have to put pigs down. Other procedures you would think require a licensed veterinarian. As I approached the small farrowing pens, I noticed a sow standing there dead still, obviously in labor. Then I saw it, the large green bottle of Palmolive. This was the moment it all changed. Some of you know where I'm going with this. You see, I'd seen this before, and it was pretty clear I got the call. I was going up from the minors to the majors, and I was going pro. This was not one of those moments you wanted to say, "Hey, put me in, coach." On a farm with 10,000 pigs and 15 employees, you did not want to be the guy with the smallest hands. Either I fetched that breached piglet, or both of them would die. Now, growing up on a farm was hard work. It was sweaty in the summer, cold in the winter, stinky, and downright disgusting at times. And as I alluded to earlier, can take you to places you just don't want to go. Now, my dad started the farm in October of 1978 after he retired from a celebrated career in the Army after 23 years. Over those years, he had told us, "Hey, I'm going to start a pig farm." And of course, my brothers and I were thinking, oh, it's going to be like animals from the old McDonald's song. Some chickens, some ducks, maybe some horses, cows, geese, but not 10,000 pigs. It was a great experience growing up on the farm. I will tell you, I never realized how impactful that would be to my life. And it played a lasting impact on my work ethic. And that work ethic truly differentiated me as I started my first job after college and in my academic performance, which I'll talk to you about later. But ultimately, I realized that I was grateful for this experience. And today, I want to share a few lessons I learned. The first lesson that pig farming taught me about business is some days you have to shovel some shit. You see, on a farm, you're always moving manure. It has to be done often, and not because it's stinky. You see, manure is slippery, and pigs can easily slip, fall, and become injured. Unlike other animals, when a pig becomes injured, they're most likely going to die. It's not like you can hand them a set of crutches. So it was important that we clean those pens on a regular basis. And one of my first jobs as a young child was cleaning these pens. And I formed rather intimate and peculiar relationships with the square shovel I used on a regular basis to clean those pens. It was a simple, repetitive task that frankly didn't require a lot of training. But the fact is, it was backbreaking work, downright disgusting, dusty, full of flies, and in the summer, it was truly, truly dreadful, and a form of punishment. Now, my first job out of college, I worked as a securities accountant here in Dallas at a company called Nations Bank. Some of you may remember them. Obviously, I didn't have to shovel manure. But the job was very tedious, rather administrative, and frankly, not challenging at all. Like many undergrads who just completed their degree, I felt completely underutilized. The fact is, I was uninspired by the promise of working in corporate America. But I realized I was learning the mechanics of the stock market. I was also learning the principles of trust accounting. I just kept asking, where's this Gordon Gekko guy? Because I want to work some deals. I took the initiative and I asked to be put on several projects. And when my manager suggested a project that required some physical research in storage, much like this building, I jumped at the chance. And after 3 weeks of sorting through boxes after work at night, we found $1 million in lost physical IBM stock certificates. For those of you old enough, you remember that stock actually used to be a certificate and was traded between banks, or you kept it under your mattress. So this was a big deal. I was pretty excited. The message here is that successful people do what unsuccessful people don't want to do. And it's through this struggle that we learn. So as they say in the military, embrace the suck. It will get better. The second lesson I learned is you have to feed the pigs every day. Not every other day, not most days, every single day. And as I mentioned, it got pretty hot in southern New Mexico. So we had to make sure we fed the breeding stock before it warmed up too hot. You see, pigs don't have sweat glands, hence the use of misters and mud holes in pig pens. So not only was it important we fed them before they got too hot, but if we fed them too late, they didn't eat and the feed was wasted. It literally just sat out in the open in the hot sun. But even more concerning was the fact that when they didn't eat, they didn't breed, and they lost weight. And when pigs aren't breeding, they're not making bacon. And who here wants to live in a world without bacon? Frankly, not a world I want to live in anyways. You know, growing up on the farm affected many of my personal plans. I often remember this story where I had made plans with some high school friends to go skiing. It was the winter time at that point, and I specifically remember convincing this pretty attractive girl to go. Unfortunately, the day had other plans for me. The tractor that morning that we used to feed the pigs broke down. We spent 3 hours repairing it after finding a part in town. And unfortunately, it clearly meant I missed the departure time to go skiing. Days like this were extremely trying. But you know what it taught me? It taught me that work came first and play came second. And this made a world of difference early in my career and in my academic performance. When other college friends were sleeping in because they'd stayed out too late and skipping class, I ensured I woke up early, attended every lecture, and I made sure I studied during the day so I could plan for serendipitous nighttime opportunities. When I think about that opportunity and what it taught me, it had a really big impact on my life. But the third lesson I want to share with you is that you have to share the bacon. You've done the shitty jobs, you've fed the pigs, now it's your time to give back. And my dad was great at giving back to employees. Sometimes I didn't feel he gave back as much to us, but for our employees, he paid them an above-average wage, which made them extremely loyal. And as you can imagine, for farm labor that was outside, using your hands, very physical, those laborers tended to be very transient. But even more meaningful is he helped several of them become U.S. citizens by paying their legal fees. So I witnessed that firsthand. Now, the farm was my path to college. Although my dad wanted me to get a degree and return to the farm, I had no interest in that. My dad had promised my twin brother and I over the years that he would provide an education for us. And he fulfilled that promise when both my brother and I were the first in the family to get college degrees. Oddly enough, as twins, we both had a finance degree. Don't ask me why. But, you know, I think about my corporate life. Right? And nowhere is giving back more important than in business. In late 1998, I discovered a program called the Loaned Executive Program with United Way. I applied and was accepted. Now, in this program, Intel, my employer at the time, sponsored me to be a full-time fundraiser for 4 months. It was a great opportunity, and about that time, I was applying for grad school. So it was also a great experience as well. But I really wanted to make an impact. I felt like this was the one opportunity that this isn't a volunteering on a Saturday. This is the opportunity to truly make an impact. I studied and internalized these stories of beneficiaries of the United Way to deliver really impactful presentations. And I will tell you, I measured my effectiveness by how many tears I saw in the room after my presentation. If I didn't see tears, I blew it. So I incorporated that feedback, became much more authentic in the way I delivered those stories, because I wanted to affect the hearts and the minds of every prospective donor. Now, fortunately, I helped raise over $700,000 that fall, a 20% increase over the year before. I was very grateful for that experience. In 2009, early 2009, when I was invited to leave my job, I quickly realized, I got like a formal invitation, no, just kidding. I was invited to leave my job, and I quickly realized the economy was far worse than I anticipated. I chose to take this time to give back to others, as I was building a marketing consulting business, coincidentally called Bacon Marketing. I started a career support group at my church, coaching others on how to find a job, which I found rather funny since I was just out of work, helping others find a job. But I quickly realized that with my knowledge of social media and online, I could more readily teach and connect people looking for a job with recruiters and hiring managers. Now, the unintended consequence of all of this activity is the impact it had on my attitude and my positive outlook. By helping others, I became extremely happy and grateful for what I had. And that impacted the ability for me to start a paid speaking business and dramatically improved my consulting business, where 100% of my business came from speaking. All of my referrals came from speaking. So I often reflect back that had I not been laid off in 2009, I would not have started a paid speaking career. People wouldn't be paying me to speak. So I'm very grateful for that experience. But by sharing the bacon, not only was I helping others, but I was helping myself. And we've all felt that. You volunteer, you get this rush, but we all need to do that more to contribute and make an impact, because we know it also makes us feel better and more grateful. Now, my mom and dad built a very successful business. I didn't truly realize it until I got out of college and realized how much money my parents actually made. Now, they took a lot of risks. On a farm, you live on credit. They had a $350,000 line of credit. When the price of feed went high, it affected them. Right? I remember my dad staying up late at night worrying about whether he could pay the bills. Because for family farms, what guarantees the loan is not only the real estate, but your personal home. So a lot of farmers take risks in that way. Now, I left pig farming as fast as I could. But early in my career and in college, as I mentioned, I realized what an impact it had on my life. To summarize, the 3 lessons I learned from pig farming that helped me in business is: 1, sometimes in life you have to shovel some shit. 2, you need to feed the pigs every day. And 3rd, you need to share the bacon. Now, some of you are probably saying to yourself, "Self, how does this relate to me? I'll never be lucky enough to work on a stinky, dusty pig farm and learn all these valuable character-building lessons." But you see, in the end, these aren't lessons I learned from pig farming. These are lessons I learned, from the pig farmer. didn't anticipate this. As you think about your role as a parent, teacher, and leader, you're going to have to ask your children and your employees to do things that will frustrate them and will anger them, and many times they won't understand the purpose of. Now, I speak from experience here. They're going to get angry, there's going to be some tears, and there may be some curse words. Believe me. But we all have a responsibility to shape the next contributors to society and make them better. Because as we all know, it is the struggle and the challenge that makes us more successful. Now, some of you are probably wondering how that piglet fared. Rest assured, I stepped up and did what had to be done. And as they say in Texas Hold'em, I was all in. And fortunately, the pig and the sow survived, saving thousands of dollars for the farm. Thank you.